We like to call it the Supernatural Hour. And now, our hosts.
Alrighty, I'm welcoming you all to another episode of the Supernatural Hour. I'm Tim.
I'm Raven.
Jeff.
And Chad.
And
Do I need to go by Lurch?
you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself.
I feel weird calling myself, third person nickname. I don't mind that you guys call me. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Anyways, go ahead. Introductions. Awesome.
Because it was like me way back in the day when everybody had a nickname but me, and you wanted to call me Granny Cinnamon.
Now that we're dropping our nicknames, you're like, I want to be Raven. And we're like, oh, cool. You do what you got to do.
You can call me whatever you want. Just
don't call me late for dinner.
you took the words. I wasn't going to say it, but you did.
I will finish your dad joke. I think that was a joke before it was before dad jokes were a thing. I think that was a thing.
Yeah,
I think so.
Call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. Hi-oh. Where's Hefe with the rim shot? But a bunch.
We finish each other's
sandwiches.
Thank you.
Don't remember that's from, but I remember that line.
It's from Frozen.
Yeah.
Took me a minute, but
You have to have little kids to get the reference,
Oh.
I guess.
Should I admit that I've watched
No,
that
it's
by
Tangled.
myself?
It was Tangled. Not Frozen. It was Tangled.
I haven't seen Tangled,
Okay.
but
Never mind.
I know the line.
There you go.
We even finished each other's sandwiches. So that's our Disney start for the...
No, maybe it is Frozen.
I think it's Frozen.
Yeah.
I've seen Frozen, so it's probably Frozen.
Okay, enough about this. Moving on.
You can buy Mulan for $30 on Disney Plus.
No
Yay.
thanks.
I think there's Ghost in that show. I have no idea.
Really?
You know it's not Disney. This is totally it's sort of paranormal related. There was a movie that came out in the 80s that I just loved as a kid, and I watched as an adult. And the funny thing is when you see some of the names of the people in this movie, you're like, holy crap, I didn't know that they were in this. Because it had Christy Swanson. Is that her name? The Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I think so, maybe.
The movie Buffy the Vampire
the movie.
Slayer, not Sarah
Yeah, no, not the TV show, the movie.
Yeah.
And then it also had David Faustino in it. They played the kids in the movie, and I'm like, holy cow.
Lil D.
I had no idea. But the show is called, I'm saying this because Halloween's coming up, and if you're looking for Halloween-type movies to watch that are family-friendly, I would recommend Mr. Boogedy. And I believe it's still on Disney+. It's a great little show about a family that moves into a house that used to be had some guy I can't remember it was William Hanover, I think was his name, but everyone called him Mr. Boogedy because when he scared kids off of his property, he'd be like, Boogedy, Boogedy.
That sounds familiar, though.
It was such a great awesome Terabad movie from the 80s.
David Faustino, though. Bud from Married with Children.
Yes, sir.
You know that he put out a rap album. I have a copy of Little D is how the nomen that he gave himself, for the rap album, and it is so bad it's good. I've put it on my vinyl on my record player a couple times, and it is so terribly bad.
That's how I feel about this movie. It's just it's one of those so bad it's good.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a family friendly Halloween type movie to watch besides Hocus Pocus, check out Mr. Boogedy on Disney Plus if it's still there. It's ghost related.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do we have any business or investigations we need to go over?
Oh, yes, we do. So I'll do the residential. I'll let Chad do the business. So we had a residential, and it was interesting. It's almost like the spirits that were there did not want us to go there because everything that could have gone wrong did. I was pretty sure I knew where, what city it was taking place in, and I sent a text, and we're heading, the direction that I think it's in, and I'm looking for the address so I can put it in the GPS, and I couldn't find it, so I texted her. I said, hey, just shoot me your address again. I said, we're on our way. Anyway, it was completely the opposite direction we were going. So I said, oh, we are on our way, but we will be a little bit late. And they were a really cool family. So we finally get there. All of my batteries were dead, and I swear I put new batteries in after the last investigation because they were dying, but they were all dead.
The batteries.
Batteries, not the people. So
I think the spirits were dead.
Showed up and everyone was dead at home.
it's like, oh, sorry.
we
were
conducted
late.
an investigation anyways, and
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, look, more spirits. No, so the activity that they were speaking with her, you know, I believe that she is very sensitive, but she said that she would see a spirit. So apparently, the previous owner of her, or occupant of there was a duplex, had killed himself in the other side, but she was seeing a spirit in her bathroom, and the way that she described it, and kind of the picture and the feels, because I could feel him, the emotions that I was feeling. Do you remember Donnie Wahlberg's character in The Sixth Sense? And he's just emancipated, and he's just hunched over and
Emaciated.
What did I say?
Emancipated. He
Well,
was
you
free.
know. Well, he did shoot himself in the head, so he freed later. Emaciated, you know, and just shaking and scared, and that's kind of the same feeling that you got from the spirit. But she could see him. She has 2 children. They were afraid to sleep in their rooms. She said she had doors opening. She could see shadows. She could see a shadow. You know, she'd wake up in the middle of the night and she would see, and the way she described it was claws on the door, and then someone, you know, looking around.
like peeping around the inside of the door.
Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of activity. So her husband and little boy actually stayed downstairs and talked with Chad about some stuff, while the other investigator and I were upstairs in her room, and we were talking to a spirit, and the spirit was a relative of the woman and was actually sent there to kind of protect them. And so we were, you know, just some yes, no questions, getting some activity through her, and we were asking more questions, and suddenly you can tell, if you've never asked yes, no questions through a K2 meter or the Ghost Meter Pro, you can kind of tell when it changes spirits. Just, you know, because you get used to, you know, the activity, and then it starts acting different. You're like, oh, this is someone else. And we could kind of tell that it was a type 3. Just the way it was acting and the feel in the room. I mean, the feel in the room just instantly got heavy and dark, and all the hair on my arm stood up straight, and we were asking questions, and it was giving us conflicting answers. And we said, you know what, let's go to a different room for a little bit. So we went downstairs. And we were downstairs, just kind of chatting a little bit, and the husband went upstairs. I can't remember if he was going to use the restroom or get a diaper for the baby, but he went upstairs, and the wife was telling us that the chandelier in her kitchen would swing. And and she told us a few other things, but she looks over and she goes, oh my gosh, there it is swinging. And so I hurried and, you know, got a video of it, and by the time I got my video camera out and pushed start, it's still swinging, but not as hard as it was. Now
It was swinging a lot.
very, yeah.
And nobody had been in the kitchen. I mean, I'd been sitting in the room and could see the chandelier from where it was, and I didn't notice when it started, but nobody had gone in that room.
Right, now it was the night when we had a hurricane force winds come through Utah and knock down a lot of trees, and now it was that night. That being said, the room that it was in, you know, it was in their dining room, and there was a sliding glass door to outside, and the sliding glass door was open, but there was no wind coming through.
They've said that they'd seen the chandelier moving before, though.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. There.
And then they had those blinds that were like the long strips, and in the video, those aren't moving at all. So
Yeah.
you know that there's no wind coming through
And
the
I used to
door.
live in an apartment that had those, and you open up the sliding door, and the slightest breeze will shake the whole,
Right.
you know,
Right, so we're, you know,
the whole strip.
and then, so the way their apartment was, it was very open concept, and if you stepped back, you could see every room. You know, there were stairs, but it was open, and you could see upstairs. And so I thought, well, the husband was just walking around up there, and he'd come down, and I said, hey, would you go back up? I said, just do exactly what you did. Just, you know, do it again. And so he did, and then we kind of had him stop. We're like, hey, you know, stomp really hard, jump up and down, you know, come a little forward, go back, and we could not recreate that swinging. So that was kind of cool. And I do have some video of it. And then, anyway, we decided that in the home there was the spirit of the man that had killed himself. There was a type 3, and there were a couple type 2. So we decided just to sage them out. And so we did, and we were saging, you know, and it was really hard. When you have an open concept room, it's really hard to, it took us a long time because we had to sage little areas because, you know, open concept, it's it can be rough. But we did, and then the stairs were like the stairs that were open all the way through the back, so we had to like salt every step
because you're trying to bottleneck everything and force it from the back to the door, and then seal that off once they've. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is. This is hard. It was probably the hardest. It wasn't a huge. I mean, I've done huge houses before that didn't take nearly this long because we didn't have to salt every single individual step. Anyway, and so we got everything, pushed out, and we decided to push it out that same sliding glass door that, the chandelier was in. And the interesting thing, so, the power with these winds, a lot of the power up in that part of the state went out. But as we got to the kitchen, we actually kind of parceled off the kitchen in different areas, just the way it was. And as soon as we got to where that chandelier was, it flickered. And, people could argue and debunk and say, oh...
It was the windstorm.
It was
Could
the
have been a
windstorm.
surge.
Right, but no other lights in the house flickered, just that one.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah, it wasn't the whole house, it was just that light. And it flickered just as we were doing that final push to get it out.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, no, that's a thing.
So it wasn't flickering the entire time you were there, or just kind of as you were doing the cleansing?
It was just that last grasp trying to hold on to staying in the house.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
I dig it.
Yep.
Because I say if it was flickering the entire time, I'd say that's probably an electrical thing. But yeah, if it's just at the end.
Yeah, I didn't notice any lights flickering the whole time we were there. I mean, it was, even with the windstorm going and everything, it was just very, Yeah.
So the family, they were so cool. They were really cool. And for me, that's probably the investigation that's had some of the most activity on it that I've been on in a long time. So it was pretty cool.
So if you hear heavy breathing while you're listening to this episode, it's not paranormal. I'm fat and I like to eat my microphone. Because I think I've noticed it twice now that I've done it. So just so you know, there is no EVP. It's probably just me like breathing heavy because I'm fat.
You're thick, Tim. You're thick.
I'm fluffy.
Thick. Fluffy.
Anyway,
Sorry.
So that was cool.
Business. Couple of things we've got going on. We have an investigation on Saturday, September 19th at the Merker Cemetery. It's out near Tooele, kind of between Tooele and Eagle Mountain, and up the road. We've done a lot of research on it. It's going to be really interesting and
If you
really
ever
fun.
want to know what the boonies are, this is it.
Yeah. So tickets are available at advanceparanormal.com and through Eventbrite. You check the Facebook page. We've got it posted in a number of different places, so do there. The tickets are like $15, and then with the Eventbrite taxes and things like that, they're about $18.75, something like that.
Now, I've never been to Merker Cemetery. I've driven by it a few times, and it's one of those places I think I've always wanted to go to. So I'm looking forward to this. I've heard some other paranormal investigation groups have been there, and it is totally outdoors. I mean, it's a cemetery. It's a pioneer cemetery. But from what I've heard, there's quite a bit of activity.
Yeah, we've been twice, just on our own, not on any official investigation. Just we took my son and a couple of friends out once, and then I think we've been out there twice.
I've been there twice.
I don't remember who we went with, but we've had really good activity both times.
What kind of things have happened out there?
So it was early on in our investigation. We just did a lot of yes/no through the K2s. So, I mean, I think the last time I went was about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So, that's all I got was a lot of K2 play.
In fact, the couple that we were just talking about in the previous investigation, and they brought it up, they said, have you ever been out to Merker Cemetery? They said, that's really creepy. And I said, yeah, we have an investigation scheduled out there. Yeah, so...
But, go ahead.
No, well, they said when they were out there, they had heard chopping, and they had heard a little girl's voice.
Wow.
And... it's desolate out there.
It is. I mean, you're literally on a mountaintop or a hilltop, aren't you?
It's not that high up.
It's not that high
Merker was that high up.
Okay.
The cemetery is down quite a bit lower.
Okay, I've only driven by it, but I know that you have to kind of go around the mountains to get from the Utah Valley over to like Tooele, and you pass around the south side of the cemetery and where the city used to be. But it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, if you come, make sure you go to the bathroom before you come. And
Or
don't
just find
drink
a
a lot
bush.
of water.
Or just Find
Yeah.
the third tree on your right.
Pretty much. You have to go trotting off a little ways. There's some junipers out there that I guess you could facilitate.
Yeah, we're recommending you bring a chair and a flashlight, and because there's no place to sit. And
Now, I've been out there twice and never run into a rattlesnake, but a gal on our team went out just a few weeks ago and did have a rattlesnake about tap dance over her forehead. So it is Utah. It's out in the sticks. So, if you come, wear some, good shoes and be aware of your surroundings.
But we're going to keep it fairly small, so we're only looking about 20 guests. So we want to keep it so that we're not contaminating each other's evidence and things. It's going to be a fun time. We're looking forward to that. Another event, and this is a free event. There is a backyard haunt that will be going on October 23rd, 24th, 30th, and 31st.
Of October.
Yeah, I said October, didn't I?
I don't know.
Okay, October. Yeah, I mean, Halloweenish. It's a free backyard haunt. It's in Provo, 2817 West, 950 North in Provo. And we will have it up on our eventsparanormal.com site so you can look it up. It's really, really good free haunt.
Yes, we've been to it I have seen it for like the last 7 years. Chad's been to it since its conception.
Yeah.
And we will have a booth there. We'll have a booth. We'll have, information and pictures, and come meet us and come see what we're all about.
But it's cool. I'm going to put a link up to the YouTube on it. As a backyard haunt, it's phenomenal. So, and it's free.
Yeah, last year I think they said they had about 2,000 people go through it.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've been meaning to
So-
check it out. I've heard it's pretty good, and he keeps adding to it each year, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's different every year. There'll be some similar aspects, but it's not the same haunt every year.
That's awesome.
So
that's going on. We're going to have a couple of other things to talk about the next time on a few things that may be going again in October. But
we've got one more we want to do in October, but we kind of had to solidify the dates for this haunted house before we could set up the other ones. So next week, when you hear the other podcast, we should have that.
okay, I think that's it on our business.
I don't believe we have any wacky paranormal news, and I know this is going a little bit long, but I do want to talk real quick about Kyanite this week. With Kyanite, it's an excellent stone for attunement and meditation. It is tranquilizing and powerful transmitter and amplifier of high frequency energies, stimulating psychic ability and the intuition. With its ability to tune into the causal level, this stone can help spiritual energy to manifest into thought. This crystal connects to the spirit guides and instills compassion. Grounding spiritual vibrations, it brings spiritual integrity and maturation. It facilitates dream recall and promotes healing dreams. Kyanite is helpful for those making the transition through death. Kyanite instantly aligns the chakras and subtle bodies, clearing the pathways and meridians. It restores ki to the physical body and its organs. In healing, it stabilizes the biomagnetic field after clearing and transformation. As Kyanite does not hold negativity, it never requires cleaning. I actually did not know that. That's news to me.
Yeah, I've never heard of a stone that didn't need cleaning. Other
selenite.
Other than selenite, right?
Because I know, carnelian can actually cleanse other stones, but it still needs to be cleansed itself. But that's good to know about Kyanite. Psychologically, Kyanite encourages speaking one's truth, cutting through fears and blockages. Opening the throat chakra, this stone encourages self-expression and communication. It cuts through ignorance and opens to spiritual and psychological truth. Kyanite slices through confusion and dispels blockages, illusion, anger, frustration, and stress. It increases the capacity for logical and linear thought, stimulates the higher mind, and links into the causal level. Spiritually, Kyanite assists in detaching from the idea of blind fate or implacable karma. It shows that the part played by itself in creating causes and the measures required to balance the past. Kyanite facilitates the ascension process by drawing the light body down into the physical realm and connecting the higher mind to the highest frequencies. When you're using this, you want to place it you want to use it as appropriate, kind of where you feel you need it, particularly between navel and heart. You can also wear it as a pendant. There are a couple different colors of kyanite. When you get to blue kyanite, it strengthens the voice and heals the throat and the larynx. It's useful for performers and public speakers. There's also black kyanite, which grounds the body when aligning the chakras and during or after meditation. So that is kyanite. I've heard a lot about this one, especially the public speaker one. If you're giving a talk or a speech or whatever, you're going up in front of a large group of people and you're nervous about it, pick up some kyanite. I've heard it actually helps a lot of people when it comes to that problem.
Oh, that's cool.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network, found at RadioRonin.com. Copyright 2021 by Advanced Paranormal Services.